AI. It is everywhere at this point. You cannot ignore it. You cannot get around it. You cannot even disable it whenever you want. And AI has just become all consuming in this world, and especially in the writing world. I am an indie author, and I have written exactly one book without AI, but I am involved in the scene and pay attention to what's going on and read comments and read books and watch commentary videos in the scene of writing. And there's a trend that I've started to see take place that I would like to discuss. And that is why women authors have become more prevalent, but more the fact why have women defended AI as much as they have. I don't want to hear the not all women, not this woman, not this author. Well, this author is a woman and she disregards. This is just a trend that I am seeing, and I want to try to analyze why I believe that that is the case. And I'm going to do that in 3 points. My first point is that the feminist movement has taught women that there is a gap that needs to be closed by any means necessary. And what I mean by this is with the gender wage gap, the um, gap in women in STEM, the gap of women owning businesses, there seems to be this pressure on women to close that gap, either by bringing those people at the top down. And you see this by the Me Too movement getting a bunch of people fired. You see this in just who has power and why do people have power in the first place, or you see it as well, women should elevate themselves to those positions of power. Women as presidents, women pastors, women business owners, more than small business women, but head CEOs of someplace like Google or something is the dream of the feminist movement, to not just see these positions matched with men, but rather to see it completely flipped and that women are now the dominant authorities in these positions. And so there is almost a by any means necessary attitude to this. And in that way, in the writing world, which has been male dominated since the beginning of time, due to men writing, men reading more than women, and there have been great women authors. There This seems like a way to cross that bridge of using AI to either write more, to write better. Um, that it's just a tool to them to bridge this gap of writing and of acclaim, and to put themselves in the position of holding all the power in the writing world by being the dominant force. And I don't I don't think that this is exactly how the feminist movement would say they want it to be done. Um, but I think that this mindset of there is a gap in men and women, of authority, power, money, fame, and so whatever means that I need to take as a woman to elevate and close that gap, I will take, and I'm justified in my actions of taking those steps. And that is with AI, of writing your work, editing your work, creating covers. Like, these are just barriers that AI helps me cross to get into a position where the gender roles are equalized or even women are in more power. What they don't realize is that it is not, in fact, crossing those barriers. It is more of putting different barriers up for you as a writer, that you're not um, skilled enough as a writer to create works of literature that really inspire people, and so you go to AI to try to steal from others authors who can inspire. But rather, you're now just putting the barrier up of you are an AI writer and not even a writer, a bad writer. I'd rather read bad writer than an AI writer. The second reason of why I think a women have used AI in writing and defended it more is this concept of the journey being hard and that being a good thing. I think hard work is a masculine tendency that working on your craft and your writing and being bad at it, knowing that one day you'll be better at it and you'll get better through hard work, sweat, and tears, that is a masculine trait. And I think that the feminine trait is rather to be more passive in those ways of what is good, that what they're good at, they like to do, what, you know, naturally inspires them or their natural giftings. Um, they will lean more on, and so if they feel like they should be naturally good at writing, but rather they are not due to education or personality or the way they write or whatever, instead of taking that time to get better as a writer, they don't see that as something that is worth doing in the regard of that journey is worth it. That I think a man sees the prospect of doing the hard work of getting better at something is satisfactory in its own right, even if by the end of that you are not, you know, the greatest writer of all time, but rather you have improved in your own craft. That a woman would not see it that way. They would just see that as a law of work or something that they don't want to do. Um, Even biologically, men are made to work hard and to go out and the crop and the soil and farm and strive. Um, while women, the hardest thing they do is give birth. But even that is a passive thing. Like their body is naturally doing all of those things. Um, and even every woman you talk to, the prospect of the 9 months is not worth. Like they don't want that. No woman wants to be pregnant for 9 months. But when you talk about in a man's sense of like I'm going to the gym for 9 months, and I know that those 9 months are going to be hard because at the end of it I get something. Um, that just the prospect of getting better at a craft is a masculine trait, and women do not naturally have that trait. The third reason that I think the AI has really captivated women in the writing scene is women do not write good books and do not read good books. You cannot dispute that most of what women read is smut and porn. Sorry, is smut and corn and is, not works of art. Uh, they are candy. It is sweets that is rotting your brain. I will not argue in one regard to the great women of literature, but if one of the best selling books of this year is Monster Corn, I do not regard that as good literature, and that should not be regarded as good literature. I would be perfectly fine with all those books being banned because it is not elevating the soul, it is bringing the soul down to hell. And so, if these are what women are reading and writing, then they cannot tell the difference in an AI assisting them because AI doesn't write good literature, anyways. And so, they just see it as a shortcut to get to the end goal of writing a book that they can sell or that they can have the esteem of being an author or they can elevate themselves above others or see themselves as a status symbol of a writer or an author without doing the work and without writing anything that inspires the soul. So those are my three reasons why I think AI has captured women more than men in the writing scene. I think men are definitely using AI for a lot of bad reasons as well, but I don't see it in the writing sphere because the men who are writing books are trying, um, they're trying to give something to people, a part of their soul, and they're going to put in the hard work to give that But for these reasons, I don't think that that is true for women in the writing scene. And so I would love to hear your thoughts about this. What can be done in the future? I think just more conversation about how AI is used and the actual harms of it, and not giving anyone money who uses AI, speaking with your wallet, because no one can be a writer if no one buys their book. So that is my thoughts. Comment, like, continue to write and read. See you later.